I want to welcome everybody to episode 10. I can't believe we've made it this far. I can't believe we made it this far. When we initially started the Next Project Conversations, we thought we were going to be in the house for like 30 days, maybe 2 weeks, and it would be over. But we realized that we're in this for the long haul. One of the things that I've seen people really struggle with over this time period is how do they get a virtual footprint out there? How do they speak to new audiences? How do they do it if they don't have the technology and equipment? Some people, I've tried to give some advice before, and some people have said, well, you had all of this in place. How do we get this stuff in place? And I'm here to tell you that it is not as hard as you think. I know a lot of people are looking at the mechanics of doing ministry, but what I really want to bring to you is this amazing couple from California. What they've done with their ministry to ramp up their virtual presence within the last 30 to 45 days is a real role model. I mean, I don't think I could have ramped it up as quickly as they did. So from Sacramento, I'd like to welcome the Fishers. How are you guys doing today?
Great. How are you doing, Pastor Smith?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Good to see y'all. You know what? I want to really say, can you tell us a little bit about what you were doing before the pandemic for virtual community stuff? Tell us where you were 60 days ago.
So I'm going to be completely honest. I'm from North Carolina. I'm old-fashioned church. And so we really weren't using any kind of platform for virtual church besides going live from my cell phone on Sunday morning for the sermon only. Bible studies, children's church, all of those things where you had to come to the church in order to participate. Only the sermon was being cast on those platforms.
Now we did have some members that would go live. Like if they were at Bible study, they would be recording and they would be live. And then later on when we got home, you would share it to the church page or something like that.
But it was never anything official.
And what was the state of your church page when you started like this process?
Well, we had numerous pages. So there was a Kyles Temple Church page. There was a Kyles Temple A.M.E. Zion Church page. There was a Kyles Temple Sacramento page. There was a Kyles Temple African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church page. So we had several pages that really had 100 people here, 50 people there, 400 people on this one. So they were kind of all over the place before. And so we really had to hone in, close some of those down, invite people to the main platform so that everybody could be on one site and on one accord in this season of this pandemic.
Okay. I know like this was daunting for me, right? Like, and I don't know technology. What was the first step you guys took? Like, okay, you've got a multitude of platforms, you got a cell phone for a sermon, and you got some members doing stuff. Where did you start? Like, where was the first place that you started?
Well, for me, I was most concerned about worship services and Bible study because but the members that God has called me to shepherd love those two services that we provided. So I had just recently bought a new MacBook, and so I just hooked everything up, got all the information out to the members. Like, this is where we're going to be for worship service. This is where we're going to be for Bible study. We got a conference call line so that those who don't have those portals could just call in and listen. But that's where I really started, was just trying to quickly move from mainline, just building only, to moving everything to virtual. And, we're blessed. We have multi-generational, our oldest members, 95, all the way up to our babies. And so we had to move everything from offerings, all of that, to virtual. And so, thank to God, our oldest member is on Givelify. So that was our biggest challenge, but we did it, and God is really blessing our efforts.
And I would go ahead.
Go first, lady.
I would just say, for me, like in prayer about it, and God spoke to me and he said, ministry and spiritual formation can't stop because we're in a pandemic. It doesn't stop and it can't stop. We can't allow it to stop. And so for me, I knew that Sunday morning worship service don't necessarily speak to our kids.
Right.
The Bible studies don't necessarily speak to our kids. And it's our job as pastor and as his help that we continue to pour into our children during this time. So I knew that we had to do something right away.
Yeah.
And at the time we started, Pastor and I just went on his laptop and just went live because we knew that in order to keep us connected, we had to reach out to our kids.
Yes.
So I don't think everybody understands your story. So we told them where you started from. Okay. You started from an incidental production and maybe membership taping of a Bible study and a sermon. Yeah. What's your weekly production look like now? What tell us all that you do in a week as far as live conference calls. So I want to hear the scope of your production today.
So we've kind of taken on the whole premise of weekend church. So we want people to kind of enjoy their weeks, relax Monday through Thursday, and then Friday really kick it in, and get all in with God. So Fridays at 2 p.m. we do our KT, and it's really not just for our kids, but it's called the KT Kids Bible Lesson. And so we give a practical, easy lesson for all of our children. And we use things in our house to make projects with. So there's some wonderful lessons coming where the parents can, you got coloring pencils and markers and coffee filters to use things in your home that you already have to do projects to teach a Bible lesson. So that's Friday at 2:00. And then we have our prayer call. That's just online on the prayer call at 6:00. And then on Saturday mornings, we have Bible study. And then we do virtual church and Sunday school on Sundays at 9:30. And that's 1 hour. So Sunday school is 30 minutes. Worship service is 30 minutes. And then on Sunday afternoons at 4:00, we do Sunday dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So what I noticed as you describe it is you're giving a very holistic ministry. One of the things that's happening now is that viewership and attention span of people are waning. I see the fatigue. People are zoomed out. But I've been tracking your kids program and your Sunday dinner, which I actually like watching. Like I got young adults at my church telling me about your Sunday dinner, right? I love the fact that you do this very holistic, non-talking head ministry. Can you talk a little bit about the Sunday dinner and the kids program? Because I think pastors have they have the view of them talking with like a Bible in their hand. And that's what we see 90% of the programming as. Can you talk about some of the innovative stuff you've done with the kids stuff and what you've done with the Sunday dinner? Because I really think that's some powerful stuff for people.
I have to just give a shout out. Neither of these this is all credit goes to my wife because Coloma, Coloma, I'm old fashioned.
I didn't have the dinner idea.
The Sunday dinner was the idea, and it was. I just kind of went with it, like, oh yeah, because I'm gonna just do Sunday dinner. I'm gonna let her talk about kids lesson, but dinner and conversation is such a vital part of community and American culture. And so a lot of my members, after worship services on Sundays, they would say, "Okay, where are we going to eat?" My deaconess, they do this dinner quarterly. They go out and they just have conversation. And because every restaurant was closed and a lot of people were just not, they were stuck at home essentially, and they couldn't have a conversation with anyone. She said, well, let's just hop on, show people what we're cooking on Sundays or what we're eating on Sundays. And let's just talk about what's going on during the week or, ideas that we may have. People that conversation and that kind of community is missing. And we wanted to show people, though it's virtual, it's okay to log on with your family on FaceTime or now we have Facebook chat room and just eat and have a conversation about anything because, we need to be together and and have conversations about other stuff besides just what's going on in the world, but to be able to laugh together and have that same community, even though we can't be around a dinner table per se.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of people, we all know it's there, but no one kind of wants to talk about the fact that loneliness is real. Yes. And in this pandemic, a lot of people have been forced into a state of isolation. They're by themselves. And if they know that they can count on having dinner with me and Reverend Fisher on Sundays, it's something that we're committed to, saying we're not there with you, but we're there with you, if that makes sense. So it was important to us to kind of keep our sense of community going with our church. And just have small talk. They realize me and Pastor, we're normal. We are regular people. And we've been able to have cool conversations with people over live that we wouldn't normally have if we were in this pandemic. This pandemic has opened up avenues for conversations that haven't been had before. So to segue to the kids' lessons. So the kids' lessons, like he kind of mentioned, we use things that we have around the house, things that you'll have around the house. Because one of my goals when we develop our lessons is that we're not going to present things that are going to be unattainable for our parents. So nothing that I show, nothing that I develop is going to be something that's going to be too hard for our parents to attain, for them to go get. That's really important for us. And a lot of times if you watch the kids' lessons, I always tell them, like, I'm not so concerned that you remember this Bible verse or that you remember this particular character, but that you remember what they did. You remember their character traits, right? So for us, our goals with the kids' lessons are building relationship with God. We want that relationship to remain intact, even though we're not meeting on Sundays at church. We want them to learn the word, and we want that to continue going on, even in the midst of the pandemic. And we want to grow their Christian character. And if we can just present a lesson on Fridays, and parents can use that as a launching pad for their conversations throughout the week, then I feel like we've succeeded every Friday with our lessons.
Yeah. And I think that it was important for us at Kyles Temple Sacramento to do the children's lesson because we were averaging before the pandemic, upwards of 30 kids in children's church on Sundays. And so that was a major demographic in our church that was really starting to blossom and grow. And shout out to our children's directors, Denise and Nicole, who were just taking that and doing amazing things with it. And so, the abrupt halt to the COVID-19 virus, we had to kind of jump in and make sure that we kept in connection with our kids. And we're blessed that about 80 to 90% of our kids are on Facebook and YouTube. And so this is why we use this particular portal, because we knew that the parents and the children were on so that we could easily access them on Fridays.
Right. And I just want to reiterate something I said earlier. It's like our spiritual formation doesn't stop because there's a pandemic, and it can't stop because there's a pandemic. We have to continue that even in the midst of what's going on.
Yes.
So here goes a question. One of the things that really impressed me was when everybody was trying to figure out Givelify and Sunday service and XYZ, you guys prioritized on children first. Every other church ran to do Sunday, and you were at Friday with the children. And I really admire that foresight. Can you give me some? You touched on it a little bit about a major demographics, but can you give me some more thought process on how reaching kids? Because even as I continue to look across the spectrum of children's programming out there, I don't see a lot of our traditional churches doing anything that's children focused, even 8, 9, 10 weeks into this.
Yeah, for us, and we have young adult families, the kids were drawing the parents to church. And they do. And they do. The kids were wanting to come to church. Kids were wanting to come to Bible study and other things because of the children's ministry. And so for us, the focus wasn't so much on money, because I have crazy faith. I believe that God's going to provide. It wasn't on Sunday service, because we have amazing preachers, amazing pastors. You can go on anybody's Sunday live and get a great word or a Bible study. But we wanted to make sure that we stayed in connection with our children, because we didn't want them to be forgotten. And with school down, they're in school maybe 2 hours a day, and the rest of the day they're just kind of free. We wanted to make sure that they had something spiritual each week to help them stay in connection with God, because we just didn't want to lose them. And as a result of that, lose the family as well.
Yeah, and you have this saying, I think it's that money will follow ministry.
Right.
And what was the rest of it? I missed the other. And then something about members.
Ministry brings members. Members bring the money. If you have no ministry, you have no members, and no members bring no money.
Yeah, there you go. That was it. I was trying to remember.
That was a good one. I didn't remember either, First Lady.
Wait, I got half
It's
of
the
it.
M's,
I got half of it, but I know I can have. But for us, we Giveify. Okay, we got Giveify. We got Cash App. Right. We had that. That was there. But if you don't make that the focus, the money will come.
Right.
Do ministry. Focus on your ministry. The members and the money, it'll come.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you touched on that, because so many people are trying to figure out how to collect money without giving anything back. And I think it's so important to remember that. Quick station announcement. If you have any questions, pastors, folks out there, please, the Fishers have some phenomenal ministry stuff happening, and they are actually executing it at a high level. So I want to encourage you to really start throwing your questions in. One thing that's really impressed me about your ministry and your Sunday ministry is, for example, at university, we chose one format, we stuck with one format, and I hate to say it, it's sort of, we had a tradition of how we did Sunday service, and we modified it a little bit, but it is what we do. But you guys are the only church I know of that have done drive-in, home, and in the sanctuary, which are basically the three genres or three ways people do Sunday service. Can you contrast and compare them? Because many of us are still trying to figure this out over the next few months, and I'd love to hear your experience, your take, the strengths and the weaknesses of each of them. So we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so we started out in the sanctuary the first couple of weeks right after the state of California shut down. And I just wanted people to have that same kind of sanctuary feel. When you log on, it's almost like you're sitting in service at the church, and it kind of gave a sense of normalcy. But what I found was that the level of engagement, that it was dropping off, because I don't know if it was a sense of grief, like, oh, there's 5 or 6 of them
there, but we can't be there.
Right, but we can't. So, and so we just shifted. We were going to do drive-in a little earlier than we just did it, but the county that we reside in wouldn't allow it, so we had to go back. And so I said, let's just go in the home, bring people into our home when we go into their home. We're going to shorten the service to just 30 minutes. We're going to cut off all the fat and just give people the meat, and just see how that goes as we prepare for the drive-in service. And so that's what we did.
So something to touch on what you just said, to cut off the fat and give them the meat. So as we were watching our in church, like the regular, the church production, the normal service that we were doing originally, he and I were watching it. We get home, we're watching it, and after you get past all of the order of worship, you have you got announcements, you got praise team singing, you got all of this stuff, and for us, we lost interest. We lost interest. I think that kind of steered how you modeled house church.
Because I and we kind of discussed it earlier, that people now need the word of God.
Yes.
And so my thing was, when we go to the house church, let's just get to the word as quickly as possible, catch people's attention, and give them that word in a concise and competent and quick manner, so that they can go on about their day. And so the house church was kind of a revamp from what we learned from the church production side. And then once the Sacramento County released us to have drive-in worship, we went out there and we had a great response. And we still did online. So the persons that could not or decided not to come to drive-in worship service, we still gave them the YouTube and the Facebook and even the conference call platforms. And we really wanted to see what would work best for us, because we're in California and we're not coming out of this stay-at-home order for a while. And so we're already strategizing what it's going to look like up until Labor Day. And I think our response was greatest from the drive-in service by still providing the online platforms. And so for us, I think that's what we're going to do going forward.
I think it's important to note, though, that churches without the team and the willing workers can't necessarily pull off this stuff. Like drive-in service just doesn't happen. It's not me and Reverend Fisher out there setting up. Oh, it's not just me and Reverend Fisher out there setting up speakers and setting up mics. You have to have a team behind you that'll get with your vision and support you with whatever it takes to pull this off. We've got awesome willing servants at Kyles Temple that allows us to be able to do things like drive-in service and even the live streaming before we did drive-in. So you've got to have willing workers.
But I just want to say that if your church does not have the team or the leadership or the membership, you don't have to make it complex.
It doesn't have to be.
You can get a tripod. If you want to do driving service, set up your tripod, go live on Facebook or whatever. If you have another phone, do the conference call on the other phone. Take you one speaker out there, plug that mic in, take your podium out there. If you have somebody playing music, have them set their keyboard. It doesn't have to be complex. We're blessed to be able to do a more staged production for driving, but it doesn't have to be that way. So work with what you have and make it work for you. And just glorify God in whatever way you can. And I know that God will bless your efforts.
So what is your favorite format right now? You've done all three. What is the one that you like the most?
I'm going to say I'm a call and response kind of preacher. So I love drive-in worship.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Okay. I'm surprised. I thought you'd go home.
I can throw on my shirt, still got my pajama pants.
Like your half outfit.
Yeah, go outside in front of the rose bushes in 30 minutes and be done. And out here in Sacramento, my God, it gets to 110 degrees, but being able to see people and they're waving their hands out the windows, they're honking their horns, I think it helps keep me kind of motivated and energized. Though we're not doing it for the response, I think it helps to see people getting it and be in that engaging kind of process with people. So I enjoy the drive-in service, but I will say it's nothing better than getting up out of the bed and just going to sit outside. Yeah, driving service is real cool.
So,
my lady. Your preference, your favorite.
Me, my favorite. I that's hard to say. Maybe I'll do drive-in. Okay, I'll do drive-in with you. Yeah, we'll do drive-in.
Okay, yeah, we're not.
But someone said something about talk about the need or possibility to grow virtually in your membership in cases where your pre-pandemic membership was very small. Well, she's talking about a small and elderly population, and maybe you don't have to go virtual. Right. You gotta know your congregation, and virtual is not for every church. It definitely is not, and I wouldn't spin your wheels trying to convert people to go to a virtual platform when it's not going to work for your church.
And Pastor Smith, I will even answer that and say the majority of Kyles Temple Sacramento, the majority of our engagement is still on the conference call.
On a conference call, they will not.
Outside of drive-in worship, now that's kind of taking over as the major platform. But house church, the church production in the sanctuary, we were still getting 75% of our engagement was mainly on the conference call line only.
So I think that's important too, not to be. Not to think that you have to go virtual. Right. It's not going to work for every church, in my opinion. Right.
So, you know what? Thank you for that level of transparency, because I think a lot of churches are rushing to some place they don't need to be right now. Here goes a question for you. How much do you think this has expanded your ministry beyond your core group?
Oh, wow. Before the pandemic, and we weren't really taking advantage, I would say we weren't taking advantage of technology in a very competent way. We were, just focused on those who were in the building. And so, some Sundays we might have 110. If it was a good Sunday, we would have 130, 140. And now, people who watch our service, we have a congregation, one of our Zion congregations in Angola, who watch us every Sunday. We have persons.
You're talking about the numbers.
We have persons in Texas, and we have persons in North Carolina. They just log on, so it's really expanded our reach in a way that we wouldn't have been able to do if we had just stayed focused on what was in the house.
So this is a question. Can you describe your technology infrastructure and your technology team at the beginning of this and where you are today? Because you know, a lot of people, we've talked about a lot of different things, but tell me what your team was day one and where your team is today.
Day one, it was me putting in my message and my scripture on my phone, and I would give it to one of my associate pastors, William Diama, shout out to him. He would put it on the tripod, and when I would preach, boom, he would go live, and that was it. And then once the sermon was over, you know, cut it off, about to do the altar call. But now we really have a team. So I gotta just, you know, thank God we have amazing trustees who are even now they're building a stage for our driving services during the summer. So our trustees are really taking on that, making sure that our gates are secure, that our vacant lot is cleared off and marked so that cars can stay 6 feet apart. Our audio, one of our members stepped up and did all of our audio visual work, Dion Brent. And so he made sure that our mics outside were working, make sure that our decibel level complied with the noise ordinance in Sacramento. William is still doing all of our social media, our flyers. So we went from like me and Will to a team of about 7 or 8 people. We got a security guard now. So that work, you know, together and cohesively to make sure that weekly it goes off. And that's just for Sunday. The Friday and the Saturday is my wife and I working together to bring that to our people. But Sunday, which is a big deal for churches in general, it takes about 7 or 8 of us to really do that successfully.
But I think just to reiterate, it started with one phone. And then I think William decided like, well, I can add my phone. Sorry about that. I can add my phone too, and we can have a single phone. So yeah, now we're on 2 phones. Now that was an upgrade. That was a real upgrade.
So, you know, I assume, you know, for major ministry like Kyles Temple, you guys have gone out and bought the Canon C200 4K camera, and you're using the brand new MacBook Pro big stack, and you're using, you know, the super expensive Premiere Pro software to do your Friday and Saturday stuff, right?
No.
I
can't speak. I don't know what William does. Now he has a lot of his setup is very
Sundays are different.
So yes.
But I want to talk about the in the house stuff that you guys do.
Yeah. We purchased a HD camera.
Well, originally we were thinking about getting a camera because we were like, okay, if we're gonna do this, it's got to be right. Like I want to get a good camera. But then after I was doing the research, okay, you get a good camera, then you need a second piece of equipment because you can't necessarily go live from those really nice cameras, right? Kind of like what Pastor Smith was saying, like yeah, there you go. So yeah, you have one. So if you're getting a really expensive camera, keep in mind, if you're trying to go live, there's a second piece of equipment that you're going to need. And we're balling on a budget. I was like, nah, we're going to get one piece of equipment. It's going to be a webcam. Yeah.
That's what we use. We have, and you know, a Logitech HD camera that we purchased online.
And it was a challenge to get that because at the time that we wanted to start going live, everyone's going live and people are having to buy webcams for their jobs. Right. So webcams are sold out everywhere. So we waited. So if you'll notice, the quality has improved because in the beginning we said we got to do it. So we just went live using the built-in camera on our laptop. Yeah. And then when we got the webcam, plugged it in, and it was on a roll. But you don't need all the stuff.
And to be transparent and honest with everyone, our lighting it is one of our lights from our bedroom. We took the light out and we reconfigured it and changed the setting and we make it right so that it shines. I mean, we didn't go out here and buy a ring light. We don't have production lights. It's really just one of our bedroom lights that we've taken and reconfigured to make it
if we do want to just give people like tips, like whenever we record, you'll see some light that's coming in right now, like behind me, but we close all of our blinds. And really the light that you see on us is just the light from the light source that we have that Pastor just mentioned. It's a lamp. So try to eliminate, if possible, the sources of light that are around you, so that the light that's focused on the subject, the person in the frame, can be amplified.
Yep. And you can do that, Pastor Smith, by taking, most churches got those plastic table covers, and that's what we did. We took plastic table covers and we taped them on the outside of our wall, of our windows outside, to make the inside darker that the light. And we just kind of learned, we just kind of. And
we're learning as we go, but there are little things that you can do that will just improve the quality of your live stream, of your online virtual ministry, that will then, hopefully increase viewers and bring more people into the kingdom.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we're past a half an hour, but I don't care. I remember us having a conversation about Streamyard when we first discovered it, and this is the platform we're using. This platform you guys use, but I think you guys use it the best because, like, on your Friday program, you'll have like the graphic on the screen and the drawings for the kids to interact. Can you tell us a little bit about? And the reason I'm really highlighting that is a few weeks ago we had my friend Sanction from Singapore talk about innovation is using the tools we have to better affect in new ways. And you took a tool that everybody's using, like everybody uses StreamYard now. I've seen people talking to themselves on StreamYard, but they don't innovate with it. So I'd love to hear how you innovate with it.
I just think, that's sweet, William. Thank you. I just think that, like you said, just be innovative. So you have a software, and you know that it has its capabilities, but how can I push this to do what I need it to do? So a lot of times when you're using programs, they're not going to specifically tell you, like, our software can do all of this and all this and all of this and all of this. You gotta have kind of a creative mind to see, like, how can I take this further? And I knew that the built-in banners on the bottom, it wasn't going to reach our kids the way that I wanted to reach them. So I played with some of the settings in there and created some overlays. You'll need additional software, but I created some overlays, just things that would be eye-catching for the kids to keep their attention. I know that we're pretty cool, but we're not as cool as graphics on the screen. We got 10 minutes of attention. Projects and recipes, but they do like to see graphics just to keep them engaged.
But you see, and I love that answer, because I think you're helping us out now, because you're creating content for your audience. A lot of us are creating content for ourselves.
Oh, there you go. That's good. That's good.
I think I love the fact that you're creating content for your audience. As we close out, if you could give a smaller church or a church that's starting some advice. I love watching your evolution. Tell us, what would your recommendation be to them?
My recommendation would be start and slowly improve.
I was gonna say that.
Two lines are better than one, so we were able to kind of move a little faster, but start somewhere. So if all you can do is a conference call, start there. And don't worry about, everybody's on Facebook Live, everybody has a YouTube channel. It's okay. Start where you can meet your congregation best, and then slowly grow from there. And also identify what the need is in your church and grow that. So if you have awesome seniors, do an amazing seniors ministry virtual. If you have an amazing young adult ministry, stay that. You know, every person in every church can't do it all.
That's so true.
Our thing was we knew we had an amazing children's ministry. And so that's what we wanted to focus on during the pandemic. And not to say that we don't have an amazing youth, because we do, but we wanted to make sure that the demographic surrounding our children, our babies, was met. And so that's what we did. So my advice would be start where you can, grow slowly from there, identify your greatest demographic and the greatest need of your church that you need to meet, and stick to that and do it well. Do it to the best of your service. And my thing is always just let God get the glory.
Yeah, I think that's so good. I was gonna, you took mine, but just to kind of reiterate what he said, start slow. And if you can, avoid feeling this pressure that your online ministry has to look like someone else's. Avoid that pressure if you can. Your online ministry is what you make it, and it's evolving, right? It's not going to be if you decide to do something on Sunday. This Sunday won't be what it's going to be in July. Let it evolve and give it time to do just that. I think one other thing too is if you're going to start online ministry, I would say, or virtual ministry, or improve the current one that you have. I would also say to see if there are willing workers in your church that you could utilize, right? It just so happens that Pastor and I love doing it, but see if there are willing servants that would be willing. You don't have to do every Bible study. You don't have to do every children's lesson, depending on what it is. See if there's individuals in your church that would be willing to take shifts. We can all take a piece of this to increase our virtual presence online.
And lastly, if you have a smaller congregation and you're doing virtual, hashtag pre-recording is a blessing.
Oh yeah.
So if you've got energy and you got to do all the Bible studies, you got to do all the worship services, get you some software where you can record. And if it's on Wednesday and you've got extra energy to teach, get on there, record your Bible study, and put it up there on whatever day you choose to promote or premiere your videos, and let it be. It does not have to be this constant, I have to be on Tuesday nights. If you got energy on Monday morning, pre-record and then put it up when it's time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for what you guys did. Because I think people feel very intimidated with what we do, right? And sometimes I try to tell people what you say, what you're saying. It's just start small, but they look at what we've done and they're like, "Well, you did this already." But I love to hear how you evolved. It's time for one of the more important parts of our show. The Fishers are great friends of me and my wife's, and they share a certain passion for sneakers that I do. So we asked them to show us some of their favorite right now. So I want to see what y'all got. Let's see what you got.
I saw when you were on, I want to say Dr. Singh. I hate messing up people's names. Dr. Singh, right?
Singh?
No, Sang. He's not a doctor, but Sang.
So you had Jordan, and then you had Nike non-Jordan, and then you had non-Nike. So I kind of went with that flow. So, and you know this, because you know me. Coloma already knows my favorite Jordan.
Oh,
has to be the Jordan 11 Breads.
Oh, come on, Breads!
I love.
Come on with the Breads.
And I had to listen. I had to go to LA because Sacramento is like a shopping desert. So I had to go to LA to get these. Okay. These are my favorite Nikes. I wore them like 3 times, but I love this shoe.
Yeah, we got twin shoes.
Yeah, so we have those together. My favorite non-Jordan Nike are I love Kyrie Irving. Aww. And so I have the concept with the spider on it. These are my favorite. And it is a pink. Yes, it's pink, but I love this shoe.
That's is that the concepts?
Yes. These are the concepts.
Are those fire? I don't know about sneakers.
Those are fire. Those are fire. If y'all don't know, Concept is a sneaker store in New York that has released a Egyptian theme Kyrie every year for the last 2 years around Christmas.
Yes.
Okay.
And then my favorite non-Nike shoe. I'm a Yeezy fan. Love the Yeezy, and I just got these. So I love the 700.
His face.
I love this shit. This is my.
I was on StockX looking at those this morning.
Yes, this is actually my favorite shoe in my collection. I love it. I haven't been able to wear them yet because of the virus, but when God says it's all over, I'm putting these on. All right.
And just a disclaimer, y'all, I used to be into sneakers, and then.
But you have a good collection, though. I know this.
Show him yours.
But,
she has a limited collection.
And then I kind of got more into like heels. The people at the church know you won't ever catch me in flats, and sneakers is rare. But I do have these.
Oh!
Yeah, and I was like, so these were like the original pink snake skin 11.
Like that's as good as it gets.
I were like the ultimate girly Jordan. So I'm like, when I sold all my Jordans, I was like, there's some you got to keep.
Yes.
And I had to keep those pink snakeskin lows.
Yes.
Yep.
So we know Paloma got them.
So I got a couple of things for you. I know the Fishers love to travel.
Yes.
So I brought out the sneaker vault, the travel bag.
Oh, yes.
And this is going to be a travel theme moment. So, you know, when you go to Paris, you got to pick up some sneakers.
Oh, my gosh.
So last summer, I was in Paris and I had to do some sneaker shopping.
What'd you get?
Oh, I think I see the potato. Oh,
the Yeezy Geo.
Shoe. I love that shoe.
What is it? What kind of
Yeezy.
In Paris.
Yeezys?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a beautiful shoe.
Wow.
And then from the Netherlands, the Pattas.
Oh my god!
Wow. Are those reflective?
Yes, they are. They call them the shoes.
Oh, I love the reflective.
That is one of the best shoes that ever made.
And then this is my favorite part. This is what they call the shrine. So you can carry your sneakers with you when you travel. Reverend Fisher, you need these.
I need that bag.
That's fly.
I need that bag.
Oh man, you know, I love talking to you guys. I think it was an amazing congregation. Matt, my man from LA. I'm trying to be like that when I grow up. John Custis, it's great to hear from Joy. Oh, that's Joy. Hey, Joy from New York. Tell Steve, her husband actually has a better sneaker collection than mine.
Oh, wow.
I have to have one day.
We need to see that.
Milton Williams, we'll fix you in Baltimore. We'll get you some good sneakers. I'll tell you. Yo, fam, thank you so much. Continue to work. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and they said our reputation in ministry will be built in this time.
Wow.
You are building a phenomenal legacy. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us. We had a good time.
Everybody, thank you again for watching episode 10 of the Next Project Conversations. I am so excited about where this is going. Next week, I have my brother, my fellow Methodist brother from the A.M.E. Church, Samuel Green. He is a Christian education director of the 7th Episcopal District for the A.M.E. Church. And the brother's doing some phenomenal work. So I want to encourage you to join us again next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all so